There's a growing storm in the world of hypercars, and it is not happening on a racetrack or in a showroom. It is happening online in garages and in front of millions of viewers who follow rebuild projects like a live drama series. At the center of this storm is a surprising situation involving self-taught mechanic and YouTube creator Mat Armstrong, and a rumored interest from Tesla that has made people talk across the entire car industry. The story feels almost unreal because it mixes expensive hypercars, broken rules, internet fame, and big manufacturers reacting to independent builders. What makes it even more intense is how fast everything is changing. One moment, high-end car companies like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Bugatti seem untouchable, and the next moment, a single creator with a camera is showing the world that even million-dollar machines can be rebuilt outside official systems. This has created tension between traditional car makers and modern creators who work outside factory rules. Many fans now see this as a kind of war between old control and new freedom. The idea that Tesla could step into the situation adds even more pressure, because Tesla is known for disrupting industries and challenging traditional systems. So when people hear about a possible offer connected to Mat Armstrong, it feels like a turning point. It is not just about one person or one deal. It is about whether the entire idea of exclusive car repair and control is starting to break down. And that is why this story has caught so much attention around the world. TO understand why this situation matters. It is important to know who Mat Armstrong is and how he became so popular. Mat Armstrong is not a trained factory engineer or a luxury car specialist from a big company. He is a self-taught mechanic from Leicester, England, who built his skills through real experience rather than formal education, before becoming known in the automotive world. He was actually a professional BMX rider, competing in international events. However, a serious shoulder injury ended that career suddenly. For many people, that kind of injury would have meant giving up competitive sports and moving into a normal job. But instead, he shifted his focus to cars. He started small, buying damaged vehicles that most people would ignore, then slowly rebuilding them in his garage. His early content was simple, but it showed something powerful: real effort, real mistakes, and real progress. Over time, his videos attracted more and more viewers because people liked his honesty. He did not pretend to know everything, and he often showed problems as they happened instead of editing them out. This made him different from traditional automotive shows that often feel polished and controlled. As his audience grew, so did the scale of his projects. He moved from basic cars to expensive supercars, and eventually to high-end luxury vehicles. His journey is important because it shows how modern media can turn a regular mechanic into a global figure without needing approval from major companies. This is also part of why big manufacturers are now paying attention to him. As his channel grew, Mat Armstrong became known for something very specific: rebuilding wrecked and expensive cars that many people thought were impossible to fix outside official factories. His garage became a stage where damaged supercars were brought back to life step by step. Viewers watched him strip cars down, replace broken parts, and slowly rebuild engines, frames, and interiors. The process was not perfect, and that was part of the appeal. Sometimes parts did not fit, sometimes repairs failed, and sometimes entire sections had to be redone. But instead of hiding these problems, he showed them. This created trust with his audience. People felt like they were learning alongside him, not just watching a finished product. Over time, his channel became one of the most popular automotive rebuild platforms online, with millions of subscribers and hundreds of millions of views. The emotional connection also grew stronger because his family and team often appeared in the videos, showing that this was not just a solo effort, but a shared journey. His dad helped in the workshop, and his partner supported the behind-the-scenes work. This made the content feel more human and relatable. As a result, he was no longer just a mechanic. He became a symbol of independence in the automotive world. People started seeing him as someone who could challenge the idea that only car manufacturers should control how high-end cars are repaired. This shift in perception is important because it directly connects to why companies like Tesla and others might be interested in what he represents. The biggest turning point in this entire story came with the Bugatti situation. A rare and extremely expensive Bugatti Chiron was involved in a serious crash and was declared a total loss by insurance. The damage was so severe that even official repair estimates were extremely high, reaching millions of dollars. The car had broken carbon fiber parts, damaged structure, and a destroyed front end. Normally, this kind of vehicle would never return to the road. It would be written off, auctioned as salvage, and stripped for parts. But Mat Armstrong decided to take on the challenge anyway. He purchased the wreck and brought it to his garage, planning to rebuild it outside of Bugatti's official system. This immediately created tension, because Bugatti representatives reportedly inspected the car and decided not to support the rebuild. They also locked the vehicle identification number, which meant official parts and services would not be provided through normal channels. This is a major issue because modern hypercars rely heavily on manufacturer systems for parts, software, and repairs. Without access to those systems, rebuilding becomes extremely difficult. Despite this, Mat continued working on the car, documenting every step for his audience. This situation turned into a global talking point because it raised a big question. Should car companies have full control over how their vehicles are repaired, even after they are sold? Or should owners and independent builders have the freedom to restore them? The Bugatti case became more than just a repair project. It became a symbol of resistance against strict manufacturer control in the luxury car world. As the Bugatti rebuild gained attention, the conflict between independent builders and manufacturers became even more visible. The decision to restrict parts and support created a strong debate in the automotive community. Some people argue that companies like Bugatti have the right to protect their technology and brand reputation. They believe that these cars are extremely complex machines that should only be handled by trained factory technicians. On the other hand, many viewers and car enthusiasts felt that once a car is sold, the owner should have the freedom to repair it however they choose. This disagreement is at the center of what many are calling a repair rights movement. In this environment, the idea that Tesla might be watching or even engaging with creators like Mat Armstrong becomes very interesting. Tesla is already known for challenging traditional car industry rules, especially in areas like software updates and direct-to-consumer sales. If Tesla would offer support, collaboration, or tools to independent builders, it could completely change how the industry views repairs and modifications. It could also pressure other manufacturers to rethink their strict policies. However, this also creates concerns. Some fear that allowing too much independence could lead to unsafe repairs or damage brand standards. Others believe innovation comes from exactly this kind of freedom. The tension between control and creativity is now one of the biggest discussions in the automotive world, and this situation has pushed it into the spotlight. Whether or not any official Tesla offer exists, the idea alone has already influenced public opinion and sparked debate across social media platforms and automotive communities that, in the end, this entire story is not just about one mechanic, one car, or one possible offer. It is about a bigger shift happening in how the automotive world works in the digital age. Traditional car companies once had complete control over their vehicles, their repairs, and their image. But now, creators like Mat Armstrong have built powerful platforms where they can show real repair work to millions of people without needing permission. This changes how trust is built. Instead of relying only on official dealerships or manufacturers, people now watch real-time rebuilds and decide for themselves what is possible. If a situation involving Mat Armstrong and Tesla continues to grow, it could represent a turning point where independent builders gain more recognition and influence. It could also force luxury brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Bugatti to rethink how they interact with customers after sale. The most important change is not just technical, it is cultural. The audience now has a front row seat to everything, and that transparency is powerful. Whether this leads to collaboration, conflict, or new rules for repairs, one thing is clear. The automotive world is no longer controlled only by factories. It is now shaped by creators, viewers, and communities who are watching every bolt, every repair, and every decision in real time. The tension around this story is not only about one Bugatti or one YouTuber. It is now part of a much bigger debate inside the car world about control, ownership, and repair rights. For many years, luxury car companies have kept tight control over their vehicles even after they are sold. They control the software, the parts, and even who is allowed to fix certain problems. This system is meant to protect performance, safety, and brand value. However, it also makes repairs extremely expensive and sometimes impossible outside official networks. When someone like Mat Armstrong shows that a damaged supercar can be rebuilt outside that system, it challenges the whole structure. It creates a question that manufacturers do not like answering. If a car is fully paid for by the owner, should the manufacturer still decide how it is repaired? This question has become even more powerful because of social media. In the past, these rebuilds would never be seen by millions of people. Now, every step is recorded, shared, and discussed online. That means every decision by a manufacturer is also judged by the public. If they refuse support, people call it gatekeeping. If they help, they risk losing control over their technology. This balance is very difficult for companies like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Bugatti. They want exclusivity, but the internet is making everything more open. That is why the situation feels like a battlefield. Even though no one is physically fighting, it is a battle of ideas. Control versus freedom, exclusivity versus accessibility, tradition versus disruption. And in the middle of it all is a creator who started with a broken car in a small garage and somehow ended up influencing global conversations about the future of automotive repair. Now comes the part that has pushed this story into viral territory, the idea of a possible connection involving Tesla. Even the suggestion of Tesla being interested in a situation like this is enough to change how people view the entire narrative. Tesla is not a traditional car company in the same way as Ferrari or Bugatti. It is known for breaking industry rules, using software-first thinking, and pushing updates directly to cars without dealerships controlling everything. Because of this reputation, people assume Tesla might be more open to independent builders or unconventional repair approaches. However, it is important to understand that most of the current Tesla offer talk is based on speculation and online discussion rather than confirmed official statements. Still, speculation itself is powerful in the digital world. Once a big name like Tesla is mentioned, the story spreads faster, gets more attention, and becomes more dramatic. This is why the narrative around Mat Armstrong suddenly feels larger than just one rebuild project. It starts to look like a potential shift in how major companies interact with independent creators. If Tesla would ever collaborate, support, or even acknowledge builders like him, it could send a strong message to the entire automotive industry. It would suggest that the line between official manufacturers and independent repair creators is becoming thinner. On the other hand, if nothing happens, the discussion still has value because it shows how much public interest there is in breaking traditional repair systems. Either way, the idea alone has already achieved something important. It has forced people to think differently about who truly owns innovation in the automotive world. The most controversial part of this entire situation remains the Bugatti rebuild itself and the decision to restrict support through a VIN lock. When the vehicle identification number is blocked, it effectively cuts the car off from official manufacturer services. This means no official parts ordering, no technical guidance, and no standard repair pathways. For a hypercar like a Bugatti, this creates a massive barrier because these vehicles are built with extremely specialized components that are not easy to replace with generic parts. Critics argue that this kind of restriction turns repair into a controlled system where only approved workshops can work on the car. Supporters of the system say it is necessary because these cars are highly complex and mistakes can lead to serious safety issues or performance failures. But the situation becomes more controversial when a skilled independent builder shows that progress is still possible without official help. In the case of Mat Armstrong, every step of the rebuild becomes more difficult, but also more public. People are watching closely to see if it can actually be done. This creates pressure not just on him, but on the manufacturer as well. If the rebuild succeeds, it could raise questions about whether such strict restrictions are really necessary. If it fails, supporters of manufacturer control may feel justified. Either outcome becomes symbolic. It is no longer just about fixing a damaged car. It is about proving whether independent repair culture can survive against strict factory systems. This is why the Bugatti case has become one of the most discussed automotive stories online, far beyond what anyone expected when the crash first happened. Yes, this story spread across social media. The reaction from the public became a major part of what made it so powerful. Millions of viewers started following every update, not just because of the Bugatti itself, but because of what it represented. People began to see this as a symbol of a much larger struggle between big manufacturers and independent creators. Many viewers supported Mat Armstrong because they felt he represented the real-world side of car repair, hands-on work, problem-solving, and transparency. They liked that he showed failures as well as successes, and that nothing felt hidden or overly controlled. At the same time, some people defended manufacturers like Bugatti and Ferrari, arguing that these companies spend years developing advanced technology and have the right to protect their systems. This split in opinion made the story even bigger because it created debate in comment sections, forums, and automotive communities. The more people argued, the more attention the story received. This kind of engagement is exactly what makes modern automotive content go viral. But behind the scenes, there's also another layer: industry awareness. When big manufacturers see independent rebuilds getting millions of views, they cannot ignore it. Even if they do not publicly respond, they are still aware that their cars are being repaired and showcased outside official systems. This creates quiet pressure inside the industry. It does not always lead to immediate changes, but it slowly influences how companies think about repair policies, software access, and customer control. In this way, the story is not just entertainment. It is also a form of public feedback directed at the entire automotive system. And that is what makes it so significant beyond YouTube. Over time, Mat Armstrong has become more than just a content creator working on cars. He is now seen by many viewers as a symbol of independent engineering and real-world problem-solving. This is not because he claims to be better than manufacturers, but because he shows a different way of working. Instead of relying on factory systems, software locks, or official repair channels, he uses observation, trial, and persistence. This approach feels relatable to many people because it reflects how most real-world problem-solving actually works, step by step, with mistakes along the way. His audience also connects with the fact that his journey did not start with privilege or access to luxury resources. He began with damaged cars and limited tools, then slowly built up experience over time. This from small garage to global audience story is a key reason why his content resonates so strongly. It shows that modern platforms like YouTube can create influence without traditional industry approval. In contrast, luxury car brands are built on exclusivity and controlled access. So when these two worlds collide, it creates natural tension. One side is based on openness and sharing, while the other is based on restriction and protection. This does not mean one side is right and the other is wrong, but it does explain why the conflict feels so intense. It is not just about repairing a car. It is about different philosophies of how knowledge and ownership should work in the modern world. As the Bugatti situation continues to develop and the debate around repair rights grows louder,